What's going on, everybody? This is podcast number 26. It is the return of the Mac, Billy Johnson. He's a little sleepy-eyed. He's emotional. There's a lot of stuff going around in Winchester right now. He thinks his food might have been contaminated. So
I think he might have hepatitis, but it's just low key. Don't talk about it.
There's been a breakout in Winchester, and I really need a mask.
Yeah, it's like we're in a third world country. People can't wash their hands.
It's wild. It's wild.
What kind of person don't wash your hands when you're dealing with food?
It's nature's fighting back, man.
No, it's just.
What if this hepatitis outbreak is what leads to the zombie apocalypse?
I think.
What if you're infected, bro?
I kind of feel like a zombie right now. But
should I go get a gun in case you start turning around the middle of the podcast, or am I going to have to use the antlers? Antler kill.
just pick one. That one would probably be the best one.
David, if I start turning, don't. I mean, there's actually guns behind you, so you're good.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a little MMA. It's been a long time since we've done an MMA. Some of the highest views that we've had have been on our MMA podcast, and we kind of got a lot of catching up to do. But just first, I just wanted to kind of ask you how you been.
I've been doing okay. There's been a lot of personal things going on, but nothing that I can't handle and move forward with. So.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's been okay. Work's been really busy, and everything's chaotic. Pretty much deer hunting ruined like 2.5 weeks of my life, and I actually took David out and finally ended up killing a deer.
Oh, okay.
And he got it all on film, and so we'll be kind of releasing that with the hunting part of everything. But yeah, just 2 weeks of my life gone. I had a whole week of vacation off, and I was spending 12 hours a day in a blind, and I was grumpy when I left and grumpy when I got home, and try not to do that next year, but I say that every year. But yeah, everything's been really busy, and I've had a lot of personal stuff in my life this year too, and I can relate. And Dave's had some fun stuff. I mean, it just seems to be life this time. I mean, everybody goes through this crap, and I guess
all hits at once. I guess
we're all here together to
It all does hit at once.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's wild. So, well, I am very glad to have you back. Enjoy talking MMA, and it's probably one of my my best arenas. We talk about a lot of crap on here, and some of them are probably way over my head doing some bro science, but I feel like I got a pretty good grasp of MMA. How long has it been since we've done one, Dave? Is it when GSP's return, maybe? So it's been
No, we didn't do one after that, I don't think.
I don't think we did.
It was the one where we talked about NFL and stuff right after, I think. It was right before the Super Bowl.
Gosh, has it been that long?
I think so, yeah.
It's fun. Well, we had Gross on and we talked about GSP. I think that was
before
after.
then.
It was before?
Yeah,
Wow.
because it was football season. Beginning of Kentucky football season.
Wild. Well, I'm glad to have you back. And we had a good experience with the Mayweather-McGregor fight, and so it's been a long time, but McGregor finally made his return to MMA, and it was a really bad matchup. I was kind of afraid of it from the very beginning, and I just didn't have a good feeling about it. I kind of watched the way something that I've been doing more than I used to is just kind of watching the training footage and trying to put myself in a mindset to understand what they're going through, what they're doing, and just really seeing how they look with their body language and everything. And I think it's very hard for somebody that's came up from nothing and had this great hunger their whole life and used that hunger to follow all their dreams and to get everything that they wanted. And now that you have that, I just don't know if Conor has the same fire as he did before. I don't know if you paid attention to the news, but he's dealing with a lawsuit from a guy that got hit with a bottle. I saw that I think didn't he just get like some kind of crazy speeding ticket?
I haven't seen that, but
it could have been.
Doesn't surprise me.
It could have been clickbait too, to be honest with you. I didn't even click on it. You got, everything that happened in the aftermath of the Khabib fight. It just seems like it's just kind of a circus-like atmosphere for him. But I guess I want to kind of dive back a little bit. What did you think whenever you saw the Khabib Conor announcement? I mean, was it something that you thought he could overcome, or
I saw it.
Were you worried right from the beginning?
I thought it was pretty interesting. It's a bad matchup for him. You got somebody that's that's trained wrestling their whole life, has been wrestling bears when they were a kid,
Yeah.
and then somebody that's 95% stand up, and it's just not a good matchup for the stand up person. As a Conor fan, I was hoping that he would catch Khabib coming in and maybe being a little sloppy and maybe being intimidated by his.
Because we've seen it a little bit before. Khabib's showing a pretty good chin. He's showing pretty good stand up, but Michael Johnson did catch him.
Oh, yeah, Michael Johnson rocked
Hurt
him,
him really bad. And so you would think that Khabib would have had some type of ability to put hands on him at some point coming in. So did you feel well about his chances? Did you feel like he had a good chance to win?
Conor?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Just because when you fight somebody that's that elite as a wrestler, you don't really have a shot unless you are as elite as of a wrestler or an elite jiu-jitsu artist.
Something to stifle it at least.
Yeah, like Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva caught him.
Right.
With that triangle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your only defense.
That was a Hail Mary, literally.
Oh, yeah. That's your only defense against a guy like that.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a good matchup. I didn't think that it was a good first fight back after having 2 years off. I thought that everything kind of was against him from the beginning. I didn't really understand it. Other than, you had the build up, and then that's something we forgot to mention where he threw the freaking dolly at the bus. I forgot all about that.
With Chiesa and all them.
Yeah, so that's kind of the only real incentive that you had to make that fight and use that, footage over and over again, but to me, there's no real reason to make that fight, and so
you also got the Artem Lobov stuff.
Yeah,
where Khabib,
it all kind of goes hand in hand.
Khabib was trying to bully him with his guys, and which that led up to that bus thing. Yeah. But I mean, it was just a mess. Pretty sloppy on the UFC's part, I think.
I think they should have gave him a tune-up fight, and plus, you got a lot of weirdness around that 155-pound belt anyways, because Tony never lost it.
Right.
He got hurt doing UFC press, and they pretty much stripped him of the title. Mm-hmm. And, while Tony's not a good matchup, it's a better matchup for Conor than Khabib would be. And so, it just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't see – the only way that I saw him win was, like you said, catching him. And I knew that, what does he say? Nobody takes the left hand. I mean, and that would have been the case if he was able to land it flush. I actually saw a podcast with Chuck Liddell talking about the fight, and he said that he thought the only way that Conor would be able to win was to survive the initial surge and to have enough power and strength to knock him out in the later rounds. And he said whenever Conor got this chance, which he did, he landed some shots. They just didn't have much behind him, and he said whenever he got to that point, he didn't have enough power behind it. He knew that Conor was going to lose. That was his only chance, and he wasn't able to overcome that. And I thought that was pretty good insight from somebody like Chuck that's not really a tactician, that I would consider a tactician. But, so didn't work out well. And then, of course, you have the crazy scrum afterwards with people jumping the cages and sucker punching Conor. And
Khabib turning into an eagle and flying out of the cage.
Khabib running out of the cage and everything. What's your take on that? I mean, I haven't talked about that publicly, and it felt like a very embarrassing night. I was very pissed off at the sport that night.
Yeah, that a lot of people in Hollywood or in the public eye think that it's thugs going in there and just human cockfighting. It's been called by the government official.
R.I.P. John McCain.
But anyway, it sets the sport back, and it looks really dumb. And I understand that it was emotional because of the things that were said and done, but it just sets the sport back, and it kind of reminds me of the Diaz Mayhem Miller.
Yeah.
Jake Shields.
Strike Force Brawl was out in Nashville.
Yeah, it was in Nashville, and it just makes them they look like thugs, and it's almost like WWE the way a lot of the things look now. Yeah. The Brock Lesnar Daniel Cormier thing, little shoved in the ring and all that.
That's just Brock selling tickets. Yeah, you probably told Cormier before the fight, hey bro, if you win, I'm gonna come in.
And then come in here and cut a promo on me, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what I find ironic is I don't know if you remember back in the old days, like Tito versus Ken, where they had all the pyro and everything at all the shows, and it was really fun and interesting. And they kind of cut all that out because they said they didn't want to be WWE like. And now it seems like that's what they're going to, where they have so many shows. It's hard for anybody to make their name, and really the only way to make their name is to cut a promo on somebody to be outlandish. It's not so much that your fighting style and is respected or whatever anymore, and it's not the hard road. It's pretty much who can talk themselves into a title shot, and I think that's one of the biggest problems that the UFC has is that they're building stars on shit talkers, and a lot of them once they get there they don't really know what to do with it, and then you on the opposite side of it you got guys like Tyron Woodley that is so dominant of a champion that he rarely even gets hit, and yet he's kind of bland, and people don't attach themselves to him. Even DC,
he fights like GSP. Tyron Woodley does. Not like GSP, but what I'm getting at is the sense that
he fights technical.
He fights smart.
Yeah.
He fights technical. He fights to
win.
To fight for 5 rounds and win.
To win. Yeah, he's not taking damage. But to be contrary to that, GSP is like, I don't know if he still holds it or not, but he holds the record for most significant strikes. So he was putting people on their back and landing heavy strikes from that. And like if you watched the Damian Maia Tyron Woodley fight, it was just pretty much a dance. And it's kind of perplexing because the dude's got power to put anybody away. I mean, he dropped Darren Till and ended up choking him out. So I mean, he's got power to do that to anybody. And so there's no happy medium guys anymore. There's no Chuck Liddells that are just consistent winning. There's nothing you're going to do. He's going to take your best shots. He's going to knock you out. He's going to do his strut, his pose, and he's going to walk out with a title. And it's not about that anymore. Like I said, it's all pageantry and just show.
Yeah,
and so
that's the direction it's headed.
I thought it was a very embarrassing night. I've never liked Khabib ever.
I haven't.
He's not somebody that I can relate to at all. I don't particularly like his fighting style, anything that he's about, and so it sucked for me to watch Conor lose to him because Conor kind of transcended a lot of the sport and brought it to new heights, and he went over into boxing and brought it into a new realm and got respect from that, and it just sucked to watch him lose to a guy that I really don't like at all, and then to see that guy jump out in the crowd and nobody cold cock him, it just all sucked, and now he's thrown everything even further into calamity because he's most likely going to get a suspension. And so you got Tony who stripped, who looked great that night, by the way, that was overshadowed by the events of that night. But Tony looked great that night, and then you got Khabib doing that. It takes all the folks. I mean, it was pandemonium. Nobody even know what to do. They didn't do post-fight interviews. It was real awkward. Nobody know what to say in the commentary. It was just it was a real dark moment in MMA, and I don't know what the future holds. You got Conor's. He's tarnished now. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. There's talks that he might fight Cowboy. That'd be a fun fight, but it's not. It doesn't have the magnitude of the other fights.
It's not a big fight.
Yeah, and I don't really know that there's any big fights out there for him now, because you brought him in against a guy who he's just not. He's not suited to beat. Instead of bringing him in, get him a tune-up fight, and maybe doing Cowboy before, doing a really fun fight before, building the hype even more, getting Conor's ring rust off of him, and then letting him fight Khabib. It just didn't make sense to me, and I'm sure it's Conor's hard-headedness.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He wanted the toughest challenge he could get.
Right. And then you got Khabib, who's just hot-headed and flies off the handle, and they're like, "Oh, he's not like this. He's a great guy." Well, obviously he's not.
I've never seen him act that way. I've never seen him act like a great guy.
Well, I never saw him, take Artem Lobov in a corner and threaten him.
Smack him in the back of the head.
Yeah, I mean it's just so I don't understand that.
The people that he's affiliated with too, which Conor was trying to expose at the
yes, that is dark. I sent David that email.
It's insane the stuff that he's into, and
all the people that give him money. I forgot about that.
The big money bags. Yeah,
it's a lot of like high-end politicians and stuff that are involved in some really dark and corrupt stuff. Yeah, that was his former manager or something, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
Yeah. God forbid a guy's got some ties to some Russian business people.
Oh,
Like,
oh man, you got political. Yeah, I mean, it's dark though. It's something that I'm sure happens more than we know about.
Yeah.
But to get to that level, and he flew off and was meeting with that dude that week, right?
Yeah.
And it's just.
but for a poor farm guy, he's not. From his house, he don't have the same political views we have. He don't see things like that. Like, I don't think that he has some kind of sinister background. It's just the guy's holding the strings.
I'm not saying that he's like a secret mercenary or something like that.
So I feel like it was implying at first.
I'm saying that.
You didn't think
I'm saying that when you come to this country, you achieve world title success. You probably could apply for something to stay for a very long time, or even perhaps become a citizen.
Yeah.
You have all those doors open, and yet you're still going with, murderous, greedy, thug politicians, and just it doesn't compute with me. And something that I heard somebody bring up, and I guess that it's a possibility, but all of those guys that jumped the cage, and then Khabib, they're all here on visas, and really they could affect their visas if they're not able to work, and they get suspended for a long time, and so. I mean, potentially, I don't think it'll ever happen, but potentially Khabib could never be able to fight in the United States again. So, I mean, you got all kinds of implications that just ripple out from this. And most importantly, you're having a big pay-per-view that did, pretty well. I don't think it did as well as what they thought it was going to do in buys. I think it was still top 10 at least, top 5 maybe.
Yeah.
So it did pretty well with buys. And it's been such a down couple of years for the UFC. They really needed that, and then they just completely derailed the momentum 100% because now you got everything in limbo. You don't know who's going to fight who. You don't know what's going to happen with your title holder, and it just kind of puts the UFC's state of affairs in even a worse shape, and it's which is hard to believe.
Oh yeah.
So speaking, we'll kind of transition from a dark place to a dark place. The Chuck versus Tito fight was this weekend. It's not something I was excited about. I think it's a really cool idea to have like a Masters division, older guys that still want to fight, still want to compete. And when it first got announced, I was not at all excited about it. As it grew closer, I got a little bit more excited about it, and then I actually saw the card, and I was like, okay, well the card sucks, but it's still Tito versus Chuck. It's nostalgic. All of those things, and like my excitement was kind of growing with the potential of having another MMA organization that can perhaps employ these older fighters and put some legendary fights, because a lot of times they turn out bad, but a lot of times they're really fun fights. They're really interesting fights. Bad comes to mind as far as like Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie. That was a bad.
That's the greatest MMA fight of all time. Not the first fight, the second.
I'm talking about the Bellator fight, which is the third.
Oh yeah, it's the third, right?
So the Bellator fight, the third, and so you've got kind of weird scenario and
cup check hoist.
And all this stuff, and I don't care if he got cup checked or not. There's no way Hoist should have ever been able to hurt him with his hands, and that happened.
No,
so it just kind of was a bad result. But there's been other examples like Randy Couture coming back multiple times and winning world titles and things like that. So I think there is a place for it. And so as it got closer, I got more and more excited about it. But then Media Day happened. And I don't know if you saw the Media Day footage. So Media Day was pretty much them essentially hitting pads. And it was about 10 minutes each.
I saw a clip of Chuck.
It was about 10 minutes each. And I think I watched the Tito one first. Had great head movement, had good snap on his punches, was really light on his feet. Everything looked great. And this is probably 2 weeks out. And so then I watched the Chuck footage. And I almost had to go like this because my mind wasn't really computing what I was seeing. He was flat-footed. He was missing combinations that Antonio Miki was calling out. He had some pop, but not a lot of pop. And everything was coming super slow.
Yeah.
And, to the point where Tito comes in and he starts talking trash.
Yeah.
And so now, in looking back at it in hindsight, I heard Tito said that he thought that Chuck was sandbagging. And then I also watched a podcast today where John Hackelman was actually on Ariel Helwani's podcast, and he said that he saw the same thing. He said that when they used to put the camera on Chuck, he would intentionally tell Chuck, do this, do that, just something crazy to take the attention off what they were really intending on doing. And so he said he thought that that's what was occurring. And it never crossed my mind. I don't think you can fake the things that Chuck was doing. And if you are, you're going to be creating bad habits right before the fight. And it was like I said, it was like 10 minutes long. And it was probably longer than that, really. I just saw a 10-minute clip, and I'm sure that they were there a lot longer than that, probably 20, 30 minutes. And I immediately texted James and Gross, and I said, look, guys, I've been wanting to watch this pay-per-view. I just watched it. I was like, I'm telling you that this is not a good idea. I don't know if we should even get it. I was like, as good as Tito looked and as bad as Chuck looked, I just don't have a good feeling about it. And so, a couple guys watched it. I got their opinions back, and Jeremy's like, I don't know if it's real, and pad work doesn't mean that much to me. And I was like, it doesn't mean everything to me either, but there's a lot of things that you can deduce from this pad work that tells me there's red flags. So you get to the night of, and the Tito came out to the old school stuff, which I thought was awesome. Chuck came out to some club music that I have no idea what it was. But they get in the ring, and I said, this is unbelievable, Gross. I was like, this is just wild. I was like, it doesn't even feel real. And so then the fight started, and I was like, what's going on? Like, I saw Chuck throw a jab and just kind of pawing, and he used to paw all the time.
Yeah.
But it was quick. It was with an purpose. I saw him throw a jab, and I was like, what's happening? It was even worse than I thought it could be. And early on, probably within the first 30 seconds, Tito throws a big looping hook. And I watched Chuck's reaction time, and I saw the way that he saw that punch coming in. And I think that Tito just threw it as a prayer. And I was like, man, it's over. There's no possible way. And at that moment is when it clicked to Tito too, because I saw him get all excited and he started talking trash. He knew by the way that Chuck reacted to that left hook that the fight was over with. And eventually it was. It was very sad to see. I thought it was a very bad moment in MMA. And then you kind of add all the other stuff on it too with, Oscar De La Hoya not knowing the fighters' names at the press conference. Mm-hmm. He was acting all weird, which, he's kind of a weird guy anyway. But I didn't think everybody's like, the production was great. Well, I didn't think it was that great. It was okay. It was like boxing promotion or production. The promotion for the fight was garbage. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people, like, I texted my dad about it, and he's like, I didn't even know what was going on. And, my dad's a casual sports fan. He should have probably heard about it. But a lot of people didn't even know what was going on. And I just thought it was a very sad moment. I left with kind of a stomachache. But at the same time, I got emotional, and I'm a grown man, and I'm not even going to lie to you. I got emotional seeing Chuck and Tito talk and embrace afterwards, because it felt like the end of an era. Like something was being put away. And it made me sad because that's a big chunk of my life too.
Yeah.
So it's not just their life and their rivalry, but it's our life too. And I got pretty sad after it, and I was pretty bummed out for about 24 hours. I know that you said you watched the fight. Did you watch it after the fact?
I watched it after, yeah.
Okay. So did you already know the results of it?
No. Okay. No, I actually, I went to bed, and then I woke up Sunday and was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about Tito and Chuck, and luckily the whole fight was on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I went and watched it.
Were you excited, before you tell me about it, were you excited to watch it at all? Did you have any anticipation for it?
In a way I did, and in a way I didn't. It's kind of like what you were saying. It reminded me of when I first watched them, the first two fights that they had. And I was excited for it in that sense, but in another sense, Chuck shouldn't fight anymore.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And I actually called it about a month and a half ago to a couple of guys at work. I said, Chuck's getting knocked out by Tito. And they said, no, I think Chuck's got him. And I said, well, Tito can take him down, but Tito's going to play with him. Yeah. Because he just don't have it anymore. And he needs to really protect himself and not fight anymore.
I kind of thought that the time off might help. You know, you've had guys that have taken some time off before. You know, like Robbie Lawler took some time off sprawling. He was still sparring, and he was still active, but he took the time off sprawling, so his brain kind of got to heal. And he's shown a relatively good chin, other than against Woodley, since then.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that maybe that could help him. But I think that Chuck partied very hard back in the day, and I think that his body just looked great, but the way that he moved was awful. Like he was like limping to the ring.
Yeah.
The way he moved, it just looked very stiff and rigid.
That was another thing too. I was like, man, I don't even like. He don't have a chance at all. He don't have a chance in hell. And then I saw the shape that he got into, and I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive too.
That's kind of like what he was in the shape against Rich Franklin.
Yeah. I mean, his body and stuff looked good. But you're talking about going up against Tito Ortiz that just beat Chael Sonnen last year.
Yeah, I mean, and I when the fight was announced, I thought he could have recuperated enough. I thought he would still have some pop. I thought he would still have a little bit of speed, but he didn't. He had a little bit of pop left. He didn't have near the speed, and like I said, his body almost seemed like there's something going on with his hips.
Yeah.
And I just think that he didn't take care of himself very good back when he was fighting on his first run.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt and kind of get sideways there. So you watched it the next morning.
I watched it the next morning, and Tito looked a lot bigger than him, which he is, but
he's only a pound heavier too.
Yeah,
they weighed on before and after, and I think Chuck was like 217, 218. Tito was like 219.
Really?
The night of, yeah.
It's just his build, man. He's just, I don't know, like bodybuilder build. The head too, and right here his delts are crazy big. But
I don't think that they were USADA tested for both those dudes to get in that shape.
They shouldn't be. I don't think. I think they should have a
little TRT.
I think they should allow that for the older guys. Like you said, if they have like me and my buddy at work.
Science has proved that the pituitary gland starts to have all kinds of weird things after you get knocked out. So
me and my buddy at work said they should have like a senior league, and it would be like fighters over 40 that want to come back, and the testing should be a little bit generous.
Yeah,
because they just don't.
Just make TRT legal and have exemptions for everybody, and make them all be tested. That way,
levels.
Nobody's level is higher than anybody else, and
it's
even playing field. That makes sense.
Yeah, but. Just watching that fight, I just knew, like you said, like things that Chuck threw out looked horrible, looked super, super slow. Looked like even if it did connect, wouldn't really have done anything at all. And then Tito was just moving like normal and able to just control everything.
Yeah, I think people were saying like Tito should have finished him earlier and stuff like that. I don't know if I agree with that, because I think Tito had a lot of stuff to get over. He talked about how nervous he was before the fight. I think that he was really trigger shy in the beginning, and I think once he threw that left hand, he kind of knew that Chuck's reaction wasn't right, and then at that point in time, he started being pretty aggressive moving forward.
Look where Tito would be if he walked straight in there and then just got KO'd. Tito would be done.
I mean, Tito's done either way. He says he is. And I thought that it could happen. I thought there could be an exchange, and Chuck could throw a bomb from the outside and connect on Tito and lock him up or knock him out. But Tito's, I mean, really, even the knockouts back in the day were kind of TKOs. They weren't really straight knockouts.
I don't think I've ever seen him knocked unconscious.
Yeah,
in a
I don't know if I have either.
I know Lyoto Machida pretty well had his way with him.
He hit him with a body shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it didn't play out well. I thought it was kind of sad. I think it's probably going to be the end for Golden Boy MMA. I was thinking that it would probably do at least 100,000 buys, probably more, and at least those guys would get paid, and that made me happy. But there's a lot of buzz that it only did like 30,000 pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
And it's almost inconceivable for me. And that just shows you the lack of promotion and care that went into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucks, because to me that's worse than the knockout for Chuck, because I don't know if he did it for money or not. There's a lot of people saying he was. I always heard that he was a finance major and he had everything taken care of. He got a lot of his cars and his house and stuff off sponsorships. And So maybe he does have financial problems, maybe not. I don't know, but either way, nobody's making money off 30,000 pay-per-view buys. I mean, there's just not nobody's gonna make money off of it, and it's just sad. I was hoping to do 100. Tito said I was gonna do 200,000. I was like, well, that's great. You know, maybe they can try to get Golden Boy back on track and you can have future things, but I think it's probably done.
Tito has very high hopes for that little organization.
Yeah, I'm sure that he's got some investment in it. I'm sure that he's gonna, make out well financially with all that. So, in listening to all the stuff today about the post-fight reactions and stuff, I actually heard that they're gonna make a 30 for 30 on Tito versus Chuck, the rivalry. And I don't know if it's going to be a short one that they do or one that's actually released on TV. But in my mind, I'm like, why would you not release the 30 for 30 before the fight? Do you realize how much
for sure.
more that you could have built the hype for that fight? I mean, you could have reintroduced a whole new generation to that, because I'm sure that the new guys are like, who's Tito Ortiz? Who's Chuck Liddell? I'm sure most of them know, but probably a large percentage of them probably don't. Could have introduced it with 30 for 30, built the hype, had the fight, and it probably could have done the 100 to 200,000 buys with that type of promotion and hype behind it. But so a lot of people were interviewed, and Chuck actually talked about the infamous London Brawl. Do you know what I'm talking about with Lee Murray? Do you remember Lee Murray? So Lee Murray was a fighter. I think he fought Anderson Silva in like cage fighters. He came over to the UFC. He had one fight. He triangled, I think it was Jorge Rivera. At 185 pounds, he was supposed to be this big, British star that was coming to America, and he actually was involved in that crazy British bank robbery where they robbed like $90 million or something like that. Yeah, I do
remember that.
And so then he's in prison somewhere rotting, essentially. But the UFC was in Great Britain. Lee Murray comes in the party. Him and Tito have words, and the rumor has always been that Tito went after him and Lee Murray knocked him out. That's always been the rumor. So Chuck Liddell finally dispelled that. He said no, he hit him, but he definitely didn't knock him out. Tito was not knocked out. So I thought that was kind of cool that he kind of supported Tito. And they said that they didn't know if they were going to release it or not, but there's actually footage of it.
Oh.
And they said one of the excerpts is like 5 or 6 guys in a corner, and they got Chuck Liddell in a corner.
He knocked him off.
And he's just coming through them.
I heard about that.
And just whipping through them. And there's apparently like an actual film of it, so it's undeniable. Because I've heard all these crazy stories about Chuck Liddell and Navy SEALs and all kinds of stuff with Gam McGee in the bar and all this stuff. But it just sucks, man, that didn't get out before, where you could hear everybody's words about it, what the rivalry meant to the sport back then, and then transition that to the pay-per-view. It sucks, man. It's just poor. I don't know if it's Golden Boy rushing it out. I mean, it's not like if you announce it and you don't even put a date behind it. They do that stuff in boxing all the time. And you could have let the anticipation build behind this.
Yeah, they could have said coming 2019.
And gave Chuck more time to get prepared and everything else. I just don't understand it, man. It doesn't make any sense to me. I still can't wait for the 30 for 30. That's going to be cool.
Yeah. To
see something from our sport transition over to that platform, especially, I guess it all makes sense now with the deal with ESPN. So it's a bummer, man, all the way through with the pre-workouts, and then you got the fight, the way it went down, and then the buy rate, and now after the fact they're like, oh yeah, there's a 30 for 30.
Oh yeah, by the way, yeah.
None of it went well, and something's got to change to take care of our legends and take care of the legacy of the sport, to where they take more care with these things if they're going to do them. And I think it's going to happen a lot more in the future, because there's going to be a lot of restless guys that want to come back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could have happened to Randy Couture if he hadn't made the Expendables money. You never know. Yeah. So there's all kinds of scenarios. Ken Shamrock's wrestling in Australia yesterday. He's 50-some years old. Still putting his body on the line with wrestling now. Because I'm sure that nobody
He's
will
doing
sanction.
pro wrestling?
Yeah, nobody will probably sanction him to do an actual fight.
He's like where I'm a big WWE fan, he's like pretty much begging WWE to take him back, and they're like, you're this old, and we've got these young bucks that are jumping around and doing backflips and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, WWE hasn't been
Yeah, they'll card out any old guy if it's going to sell money.
Well, not only that, but they haven't been the same for a long time, and I think that could re-energize. Look what they're doing with Brock. Brock's having to carry the company now with Roman Reigns getting.
No, WWE's like almost bigger than ever internationally.
Yeah, they're pushing the international.
Yeah, it's huge. It's bigger than
India
ever.
is one of the.
Just not with.
Not the ratings and stuff, and especially in America.
No, yeah.
And even like the WWE network. I mean, didn't it? I mean, it didn't do nearly what they thought it was going to do.
No, it didn't do what they were expecting. But bringing, like you said, bringing old guys back to like spark an old flame, like Goldberg coming back.
Shawn Michaels came back last month, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to fight again in WrestleMania, right? There's a rumor.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, going to fight the Undertaker again or something at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I think they said that might be the Undertaker's last one, but
yeah. How many times have you heard that?
The last 30 years of our life. Yeah, so yeah, we should do one on WWE though at one point in time, because I'd be really interested to know if what he's saying is true and that is bigger internationally than ever. Because I've been away from it. It's so hard for me to watch that. I grew up in the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
the ratings were
really different.
And
I'm completely down to do a WWE one though, because I'm huge pro wrestling fan.
And
so.
there's just no competition for them, and I know that New Japan's kind of came on a little bit strong, but
that's the problem. And then you've got Lucha Underground, Lucha Libre.
But kind of what he was saying with having the old guys out, probably the best time for TNA is when they brought all the old guys back. They had Sting and Hogan and Kevin Nash and all those guys. That was Ric Flair was there.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the best
Foley
time.
Was there.
Yeah, that was probably the best time in TNA.
Ric Flair was there their whole time, wasn't he?
No.
I thought he was. I thought he was a part owner or something too.
No, him and Hogan have had an on again, off again bad relationship, and I think that was when they were on again when he got brought in, and he kind of did their. I can't remember what that group was called, but he did like a group. It was kind of like a Evolution 4 Horsemen-esque group, and it was really fun. And to be honest with you, I went to the pay-per-view 7 years ago or something like that, and he stole the show. Sting won the world title against Kurt Angle, and Ric Flair stole the show at 50-something years old. So I think that there's a lot of merit to having the older guys. I think the problem with Ken Shamrock is the mileage.
Right.
And I think he's far better suited for, WWE than he is for fighting, obviously. So, because like Chuck's Ken's chin's been gone for quite some time as well. So kind of looking ahead to some of the stuff that's coming up. Are you excited for any of the matchups? I guess we need to touch on you're very interested in the Ben Askren Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, the first trade MMA organizational trade.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll let you.
I feel like it's kind of a good thing. It's kind of weird.
Very weird.
It's something that we're not used to seeing, but I feel like we're going to see it a lot now. I feel like they'll want somebody from another organization to make a super fight, and they'll just trade somebody away to get that.
I think it's probably a good thing and a bad thing. I would prefer the working together and kind of doing what they did in the UFC and Pride back in the day and bringing those guys over.
Yeah, do a collaboration.
Yeah, I would enjoy that more, and I think it would be a lot better for ratings and everything else. I think that if Golden Boy wants to stay around, that's what they should do. I think that it should be like Golden Boy versus TNA. Or TNA, I'm old.
Total Impact, non-stop action.
Golden Boy versus Bellator, something like that, and put a fight card together like that. I think that's probably Golden Boy's only hope, and I think it's some way to cross-promote. As far as the trade goes, I think Mighty Mouse has been a really good product of his time in his weight division. He's benefited from that greatly. He didn't want to do business. He didn't want to fight TJ or Cody, and I think ONE FC is a great place for him. I think they'll probably let him kind of pick and choose what he wants to do. I hear that he's really big into video games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a streamer.
So that's cool. Let him go. I've never been a Ben Askren fan either. I thought he's kind of been on the outskirts. He's profited greatly from fighting a lot of guys that were either at the beginning of their ascension or that were relative no names in the sport. So to me, it was kind of just a side note. I'm not that excited for Ben Askren, and I know a lot of people are. The trade's kind of cool. I don't know how much it'll carry on in the future. I know that Sage Northcutt just left the UFC. He signed with ONE FC. Eddie Alvarez signed with ONE FC. So it seems like ONE FC is gaining a little bit of momentum. And now that the UFC is so international, I'm not really sure why they would help that in any facet in the future. I think that they're just ready to get rid of the 135-pound division. And Mighty Mouse was just more of a liability than anything. They're like, see ya. We'll take Ben Askren, who you've built. And I thought originally they were probably just going to try to destroy him. Kind of like, when WWE bought WCW. Like, let's take all your stars and destroy them. And I thought that they would throw him to the wolves right away. They gave him a pretty good matchup for him with Robbie Lawler. So apparently they're not going to try to destroy him and his name. And so obviously that's a matchup you have looking forward. So now that the trades happened, it was cool. Like you were excited about it. Are you excited about seeing him fight in the UFC?
I actually am a Ben Askren fan, and like 2 years ago, I was looking up something, some kind of wrestling move or something, and then I saw him, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" I'd never even heard of him.
Yeah.
And he had the Askren Wrestling Academy on. I admire wrestlers, the collegiate wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers.
Yeah. Now that I know what I know, I'm kind of bummed out. Our school never had an opportunity to do it.
Yeah. But back then, you're like, I don't know.
Well, I talked to Shannon Cox about it when I was a sophomore or junior. And
it would be good to have around here, and there's some counties, eastern Kentucky, that have it, and that's all they have.
Right.
They don't even have like a football team or basketball team. But I admire wrestling, and so I was looking up stuff, and I saw him. Was like, "Who's this guy?" And he did some crazy stuff in the video, and he's like, "It's just that simple." And I was like, "What he just did would take years to understand and perfect." And then I actually started looking into his fights and stuff, and was like, "This guy is pretty good." And I'm just a big Ben Askren fan, so that's why I was happy to see him come to the UFC. Him and Dana White don't get along.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a funny part of it.
Yeah, so they don't get along.
I think Dana has him blocked on Twitter.
Yeah, he's like, "Now, are you gonna finally unblock me, boss?"
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny. And
the problem is that he's gonna have to put his money where his mouth is now.
I feel like he will.
I feel like he can win fights. I feel like he could be a top 5 guy, but to me, he's not beating Woodley. I don't think there's any chance of it.
No, I feel like him and Khabib would be a good one though.
Yeah, you're excited about that, and Khabib's been talking about moving up to 70 for a long time, and that's looking in the future, seeing what happens after 55, seeing what happens with suspension. That could be interesting, and I mean, Askren's a bigger dude. I would probably favor him in that fight. I would root for him in the fight.
I for like a year now, I've called him the Khabib killer.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's
possible.
That's what I think, because everybody's like, who can beat Khabib? He's just this crazy strong wrestler.
I think what's going to take to beat Khabib, even if Askren was able to beat him, it would probably just be him essentially out wrestling him and probably landing some strikes, but nothing significant.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a...
I think the Khabib killer is going to be a bomb, and it's going to hit him, and it's going to put him out, and then he'll never be the same, because a guy like that, he's never had anything go against him in his whole life.
Another thing with Ben Askren that I kind of admire is he's very, very unorthodox on the way he wrestles. And the reason for that, I was watching video of him. As soon as they announced this, I immediately went to YouTube and started watching old videos of him wrestling at Missouri, where he went to college. And it was the championship match. And they were bringing up about how he said, "I'm not as strong as a lot of these guys."
Not physically imposing at all as an athlete.
And so I changed it up to where they don't know what's going to hit them, what I'm going to come with. So I admire that too, to be able to change up your game because you know, and admittedly know, that you're not stronger than somebody in wrestling. So that, I feel like that's a pretty good point to have brought up, because He knows he's got weaknesses. He knows where his strengths are, and
Is he older too?
I don't think he's that
He's
old.
probably got to be mid-30s, right?
I think he's early 30s. I don't think he's too old.
It's kind of he made so much money in ONE FC. He just ran the show,
Yeah.
and so I'm sure he doesn't need money. I'm sure it's just for the competition now. So I'm sure if he doesn't want to do it anymore, he won't. So I mean that's pretty interesting. I think that the Lawler matchup's pretty favorable for him. Lawler could be tough though. He could be tough to take down. He could hit him, crack him.
The last guy that he fought was Shinya Aoki. Doesn't hit like Robbie Lawler hits. So.
No. And Shinya Aoki's probably really a 145 pounder.
Yeah, he's a small guy.
Yeah, he's tiny. Is there any other matchups that you're looking forward to? You've got Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
And then you've got Gustafsson versus Jones.
Yeah.
And then you've got Cormier versus Lesnar supposedly on the horizon.
Yeah.
Kane's coming back. I think that they should make Kane Stipe. I think that's the fight to make. Although Kane probably deserves at this point some type of tune-up fight. I don't think he'll take one.
He for sure needs a tune-up fight before
I don't
Stipe.
think he'll take one though.
Yeah.
That's not the UFC's model, and that's one of the problems. You tell everybody the wolves.
You got to work with your people. I mean, and that also gives the guy that you're giving the tune-up fight against a chance to prove himself.
Right.
So if
Get
Kane
some exposure, grow your brand.
if Kane comes back and he fights a young up and comer that has a 6-4 record, and the guy knocks him out stone cold.
Yeah, you built that guy.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is that guy may have been that one guy's one trick.
Todd Duffy.
Yeah, you gotta walk the line. You gotta walk a line somewhere with that.
Yeah.
What about Jones versus Gustafsson? Is that a fight that you're looking forward to?
Kinda. I mean,
kinda the same way. I'm lukewarm on it. They've both been gone so long, and you never know what you're gonna get with Jones.
They've been gone. They had a fight. It was a really good fight. But I have trouble watching rematches just because they already fought before, and one of them clearly won before.
But one of them really didn't clearly win this time.
That's what I wasn't meaning it for that one.
Yeah, gotcha.
But usually, like when there's a rematch, like Dillashaw Garbrandt.
Yeah. But on the converse side of that, you got Couture versus Liddell too. So
yeah, and then Chuck and Tito that happened and happened
I
twice.
don't really count that one.
I mean, one clearly won, and then one clearly won again.
Definitely.
But they both bring out the best in each other, and it's going to be a good fight. But I'm not a fan of either one of them. I'll watch it for just the pure excitement of what's going to happen because it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think that this is Gustafsson's best chance, and I would pick Gustafsson as a clear winner if Gustafsson hasn't had as much time off as he had. I think Gustafsson beat Teixeira in his last fight pretty handily.
Mm-hmm.
Really put it on him. It was a really impressive performance, but he hasn't been back. I think he had shoulder surgery and he got married and had all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So I think it's definitely Gustafsson's best chance against Jones. And it'll be really interesting to see where Jones is headed at because I watched a little bit of an interview with him and Ariel Helwani, and he hasn't changed. He's the same guy. He's talking about drinking still, smoking pot every now and then.
Yeah, he said he still has addictions.
Yeah, so. I just don't trust him. I don't think he's a good person.
No.
And to be honest with you, there's probably not going to be many scenarios where I'm rooting for him. And I don't think it's good for the UFC to attach their brand to such a blatant cheater in the past, such a guy that has such a kind of grimy history. And I think it would be better for the sport, honestly, if Gustafsson built his name on there. And then
kids need role models, and Gustafsson would be a far superior role model than John Jones.
I agree.
Period.
So I'm kind of lukewarm on that one. I'm actually super excited for the Cyborg Nunez fight, though.
Yeah.
Although, as Brandon Schaub says, there's no woman alive that can beat up Cyborg, and he's probably right.
Yeah.
He said if you want to get somebody to beat up Cyborg, call Uriah Faber. Just kind of being funny. But I'm excited for it. I think it could be a really cool matchup. It's probably the most intriguing matchup that Cyborg's ever had, and I just enjoy watching her fight. She's probably the one female that's around right now, other than Shevchenko, that I enjoy watching fight. So I'm actually just as excited for that one as I am for Gustafson Jones. So
her and Joanna Jędrzejczyk are the two that I like to watch.
well, and Shevchenko's fighting Joanna, so I think it's on a crappy card though. I don't think it's a very well put together card. I'll have to look into that. I don't remember. Like I said, I've been deer hunting, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm not very excited about MMA right now.
No, there's not.
The most excited I've been is for the Bellator tournament, the heavyweight tournament, and I really enjoyed that. I think Bellator's putting on some really good fights. There's a card on the night. It's kind of lukewarm, but then next year you roll into Fedor versus Bader, which I'm really looking forward to. Musasi's fighting on that card as well. He's just signed to fight somebody that's pretty interesting. There's several good matchups. Aaron Pico's on that card. Several good matchups. I think Bellator's doing it right. I think they're building their stars right.
They're coming up.
Yeah, and I think that their ratings are really strong versus the UFC's televised shows, not the pay-per-views. And then you've got the Cormier versus Brock fight that's been simmering for months now. I mean, are you remotely excited for that?
It looks like a train wreck to me. But the reason I say that is the last time I saw the two together, they were acting ignorant in the octagon.
Yeah, I think that was by design. I mean, I think that Brock's always been a big, brash personality. I think he sells just as many tickets as anybody else. If you looked at all the top 10 UFC buy rates, it's GSP, Brock, and then McGregor. McGregor's a bigger star than Brock, but a lot of those cards go kind of hand in hand. So I think Brock does that type of stuff to sell tickets. I also think that it's kind of something to get in DC's head. Brock hadn't been around for a while.
Yeah.
He wants to be physically imposing on him, blah, blah, blah. I think, from what I hear, that DC's got some pretty good offers to go to WWE, so it actually could transition to WWE from there. But as far as the fight goes, pretty much nobody's giving Brock a chance. I mean, Brock came back after years of being off and beat Hunt easily. And so I think, and Hunt was top 5 at that time, maybe 3rd in the world. So I think that Brock definitely has a chance. I don't know that he's necessarily going to try to out-wrestle DC, and I don't know if DC can hurt Brock on the feet. He may be able to. I feel
like he can.
I feel like he connected in a perfect environment, perfect, everything with Stipe, and that's the reason Stipe put him out. And to be honest with you, I've seen chinks in Stipe's armor before as far as his chin goes.
Alistair had him.
Yeah, and so it's just heavyweight. People hit hard. It was a perfect break, perfect punch. He never saw it coming. I don't know that scenario can happen. I think it'd be more of like a volume issue with Brock. I think it could be compelling. I think it's a good payday for both of them. And like I said, it'd probably be the first fight in history that transitioned to WWE from there. Yeah. Because Brock just signed that big deal. But, to me, there's not a lot of, stars on the horizon. There's not a lot of big fights to look forward to. So I guess that we're kind of running out of time here, but that kind of brings up my last question, because we've been MMA fans for a long time. We've seen the good times, we've seen the bad times, and from that position, what do you want to see? What matchups do you think that they could bring in? What changes do you think that they can make to try to bring the excitement back? I mean, they signed with ESPN, cool.
Yeah.
But they're still putting on 1,000 cards a year with a bunch of people that they're never going to be able to build. They're building guys that are never going to be able to touch gold. They shove them down your throat, and they tell them, like Sage Northcutt. Now he's not even in the UFC anymore. How much was Sage Northcutt shoved down your throat?
Oh, yeah. There was UFC training videos and commercials. And,
just quit
Metro PCS here. I'm Sage Northcutt. Yeah.
Stop trying to shove stars down our throat. It's not going to work. They're going to have to organically grow. It's going to have to be people that we attach ourselves to. It's too forced upon us.
Yeah. The ones that you get attached to, I remember seeing John Jones when nobody knew who he was. And I saw him fight and was like, this guy is going to be at the top of the division.
Right. And that was before he was brash and running his
it was
mouth
when
and snorting cocaine and hitting pregnant ladies and doing steroids.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm done.
I mean,
so it was before all that, but now you got all this stuff that just shoved on you. And you know, you have successful champions like Woodley. Nobody attaches themselves to him.
people don't like him.
Yeah, you got nobody liked Cormier before he was champ. I mean, I like Cormier. We liked Cormier for a long time.
I
we
like
talked
Cormier
about it.
in Strikeforce.
Yeah, we talked
And
about it
King
for a
of the
long
Cage.
time. And so you just have to let these guys organically grow. But do you think that there's something that they can do, a matchup, Khabib versus GSP at 155? What can they do?
I feel like there should be, and Bellator's headed in the right direction, and Bellator is something that I get excited for. Bring back tournaments.
Tournaments is a cool idea.
Go back and look at Pride and look at the Asian culture on their take on MMA and their organizations. They do it right. They're about the fans, and the fans are about the fighters, and it's a mutual thing.
The production and the promotion of Pride is absolutely something they should look at. The business model of Pride is something they should forget.
And
that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. UFC's got a great business model. They're all about making that money, but at the same time, they're diluting the product. They're shoving people down your throat.
And like you mentioned earlier, don't have 60 cards in a year.
Yeah, there's too many pay-per-views.
Have one a month.
Yeah, that's what they used to do. It was stacked from top to bottom. You go look at those old cards, and you're like, oh my God, UFC Hall of Famer, UFC Hall of Famer. Now you're looking at UFC Hall of Famer, 10 guys I never heard of.
Yeah.
And they're like, you need to go buy this fight because there's one, like...
There's one fight that everybody wants to see, so you should order the card for that.
It's like, this one's can't miss, this one I kind of want to see, and the rest of them I could live the rest of my life without seeing. And that's unfortunate. And people are going to suffer, but they're going to have to pay their dues. You know, do, like I said, one card a month, stack it.
Yeah.
Just absolutely from
and
top to bottom.
And they're able to do that. They've got a roster to do that.
Absolutely. And, you know, they've got injury issues. They've got weight cutting issues. USADA's a huge problem. You can't drink 2 cups of coffee without getting tested by USADA. There's rumors that they may be out the door. Probably best to get rid of USADA. You know, the sport was a lot more fun. Guys' physiques look a lot better.
And guys, the Chuck and Tito fight would have been a lot. It would have been like 05.
Well, I don't. They're not. They weren't on USADA.
Well, yeah, but I feel like it wasn't like it could have been.
They were taking some fun stuff. They were They were just smart about it. I'm sure. And I'm not saying necessarily let guys take steroids and get away with it. What I'm saying is stop being so strict, beating on people's doors, stop testing Daniel Cormier 20 times when he's never tested positive before in his life.
Yeah.
There's literally a thing in there that says if you drink 2 cups of coffee, the caffeine will trigger a USADA test. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. Just let it go. Start letting people grow instead of shoving them down our throats. I feel like WWE does a little bit too. They've got this next generation crap. They shove stars down your throat, and yet, you know, you bring AJ Styles in. He's a brand name. He's one of the most popular guys right now. So
just
a
woman's haircut.
Hey, easy.
Soccer mom's haircut.
Yeah,
easy, bro.
Haircut.
But just like let them grow naturally. You know, let your stars benefit from this. Stop sending them to the wolves. Stop sending your young guy to the wolves. You know, just because, you know, the new company says to do it, go back to what got you there. I never understand reinventing the wheel with these companies. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, I work for a Fortune 500 company, a big corporation, and I see the changes that happen with us, and I'm like, what's going on? And that's kind of the same thing with the UFC. You're losing customers by the droves. You're not exciting and bringing in new fans. Stop it. You know, make sense of it again.
Go back to your roots.
And I think if they do keep on the way that they're keeping on, people like ONE FC are going to continue to grab shares of that market, and Bellator just continue to grab shares of that market to the point where they're as big and can compete with those, and then it'll probably get good again.
I'm hoping that's what happens.
They'll probably be like, oh crap, and hopefully what it'll create is kind of like the Monday Night Wars scenario.
Yeah, I'm hoping that something like that happens.
It's pretty much what's going on already.
Yeah,
you're taking all the cast-offs from UFC, you're bringing them to Bellator. You're putting them in fun formats, fun fights. It's drawing viewers in.
They're making money. The fans love it.
Yeah, and
the
then
fighters love
you're
it.
also building your champions like Michael Chandler, guys like that. You're building these guys and letting them develop. Aaron Pico, you're letting them develop, bringing people into that. I mean, to me, you got Rory, UFC cast off, Gegard, UFC cast off. It's kind of starting to brew, and the only thing that's going to really kick it in high gear is if Bellator starts kicking UFC's ass. And they're like, oh man, we got to change something here, and Bellator's kicking our butt in the ratings, and at that point in time, maybe we'll get what we're looking for. But I don't know what's next. I've been saying that I think we've been saying it collectively since we've been doing these podcasts. It's a very dark time for me. I'm not excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of, it's 10:03, so we're running a little late.
It'll be all right.
But Wilder versus Fury is something that I'm excited about.
I'm serious.
And they've got some pretty good fights on that card.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to get to that point where we can look forward to a card like that with the UFC again? And I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I mean, they need to go back to the roots. They need to quit having so many cards. Have maybe one fight night a month. And make it like up and coming guys, and then have your pay per view with your big names and your stars.
Yeah, and that's probably against the contract that they signed with ESPN. So I don't think it's going to change. I think it's going to be just as bad as ESPN. It's going to be a really diluted product, and I'm hopeful that Bellator takes the reins and they kind of go with the old way. I think Scott Coker's a good man. Mm-hmm. I think he's an MMA diehard, and I think that hopefully Bellator's success will bring change to UFC to where we can have this golden era in our sport again, to really enjoy it. So I'll let you. We'll have our final word here. We'll try to get out of here in the next couple of minutes. Wilder versus Fury. Why are you excited? Who do you think's going in?
I'm super excited. The build up has been really cool. Good. Both guys are undefeated. Both guys are exciting fighters. Deontay Wilder throws punches from here.
Yeah.
And tries to knock people's heads off. And Tyson Fury is technical and tries to outmaneuver people. And it's a really good matchup. Yeah. And they're both huge guys. So I'm just pumped for it. It's like two George Foremans going in there. And
who do you think's going to win?
Tyson Fury.
I think it's a really cool story. You got Tyson Fury beat Klitschko. He kind of goes into obscurity. He doesn't want nothing to do with the sport. He gets addicted to cocaine, alcohol. Mm-hmm. He's cheating on his wife. He blows up to over 400 pounds. I think it's almost 500, something crazy like that. And then he hears Deontay Wilder running his mouth. And it kind of gets everything clicking again. And he tries to find his love for boxing. Eventually does. Comes back, has a couple, tune-up fights. And now we're here. I'm very excited for it. I don't think that people like Deontay Wilder. I mean, he's 39-0 with 38 knockouts, and he's not a big star. I mean, Anthony Joshua's a huge star in the UK. He's not like that here in the United States. I don't know. He's got a pretty cool story, and I think if he would run with that instead of he kind of does the boxer lavish lifestyle. He lives in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's not gonna. He's not going to be able to live like Floyd Mayweather and present that, and I don't think that people can attach themselves to that. But he actually quit football to start boxing to make money to pay for his daughter's medical bills. So that's a really cool part of the story. I didn't see any mention of that in the build-up. Yes, Fury's power doesn't do anything right technically, pretty much. No. And then, like I said, on the other side, you got Tyson Fury, who's coming off addiction and everything else. He's getting back. It seems to be really energized.
He's super confident.
Really cool story. He's got an awesome name. He's got an awesome nickname, the Gypsy King, my lord.
Yeah, so the Furious one.
Yeah, I think Fury's gonna box him up. I hope he does. I think it could. Can you imagine?
It'll make Wilder better.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what.
He hasn't, the people that he's fought. They haven't been able to box him like Fury.
Ortiz boxed him up a little bit.
Yeah, and was older.
Yeah, they don't even know how old that dude is. He's kind of like, what's the dude's name?
What's it?
That played for the Cardinals? Pujols. They have no idea how old he is. He comes from like Cuba or something. And
Yeah.
he's probably like 110 years old.
Well, it's like Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
Dude's probably like 57.
57. He's on some secret steroids
like
nobody knows.
Throwing flying knees and has like 0.05% body fat.
Yeah. I'm rooting for Tyson Fury. I think it's a cool story. I think it'd be huge numbers in the UK to have, Joshua versus Fury. I think it will be pretty big numbers, depending on where they do it. If you have Joshua versus Wilder, I would again pick Joshua in that. I think he's a better boxer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's probably a little bit better for the sports. And then you could have, Tyson Fury and Joshua, who both beat Klitschko. That's a really cool story. I mean, there's a lot of different cool stories that could go on, and eventually, have multiple fights within this group of guys. But I'm pretty excited for it. I'm on the fence. I don't know if I want to spend the money to buy it or not. But at this point in time, if you ask me, I'd probably say I'm going to buy it. So
how much is
Just go hit up the platinum.
75. 70. No, I don't want to get in fights, bro.
Yeah, they're having that, and then after they strip. So.
Yeah. Well, no, they stripped while you watch it.
Well, that'd be too. I mean, I can't look at
I'd
that.
be over there like Chuck Liddell, like this. Yeah. But I'm pretty excited for it. We'll have to talk after we get it through here when I take you home, and we'll determine if we're gonna get it tomorrow. So
Kellen's gonna invite me over. I feel like to watch it.
I don't know what we need to get.
But
you
I do
tested.
have hepatitis.
We're gonna have to get you tested.
Hepatitis A, no STD. Just
It's unfortunate.
It's the good hepatitis.
Yeah, it's the better. If I was to pick a hepatitis to have, I'd pick that one first.
Well,
it's not the Tommy Lee hepatitis.
No.
Let's all hope that you don't, in fact, have it. That you have an iron will, and that guy was not there that day. Or the guy or girl that prepared the food.
Knowing my luck and how it's went the past, that's why I have had a delay in my return here. I feel like the dude was there and he was 5 minutes early that day.
Well, they just microwave the food anyway.
He was 5 minutes early and forgot to wash his hands.
Oh no, he had doo-doo too. Yeah, he doo-dooed right before
Have they proven that anybody's got it from that?
Yeah, not like customer-wise, but he was a worker and...
Well, that doesn't mean anything. Let's hope that you're clean.
Maybe you got it from Waffle House.
Maybe if we do it though, you should wear a mask.
Might go get some little riblets after this, y'all.
Asian culture, wear a mask just to protect yourself.
Go order some tainted romaine lettuce from there.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, please like and share our videos. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. And we're going to try to do more of these, hopefully. So let's just hope that MMA allows us to. Let's hope that there's some good matchups.
If not, we can...
If we do decide to do this, though, we should probably record something while watching the fight. I've been wanting to do that for a while. And I don't think we could do it live because
didn't we kind of try that, you and I? Or no, we were going to, and then we just didn't do it.
We were going to, and I had some other stuff going on in my life, and I was sad.
No, I mean we were watching.
I just wanted to.
You all went live on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And it was like right before a fight.
I did promise to go live in the Fedor finale fight, so that could end up bad. I'll definitely be like chucking that one. But we appreciate y'all tuning in, and like I said, we'll try to do more of these, and perhaps we'll see you tomorrow night for the Wilder versus Fury fight. Talk to you later.